All right. Welcome to Books That Built Me, the podcast where mindset meets style and every page leads to transformation. I am your host, Antasia Shabria Armour, mindset and style coach, guiding you through the books that shape my confidence, refine my image, and rebuild how I show up in the world. And in each episode, okay, we uncover the wisdom between the lines and how it lives in our closets, our thoughts, and our decisions. This is coaching talk, not just book talk, for women becoming more of who they were always meant to be. Let's get into it. All right. So I really want to speak to Vanity Fair and not letting the media address you. So don't let the media address you. And these are for the issues from April through May. And of course, this thing's going to focus on style, okay? And so, style in particular speaking, and you know what's said about that particular thought is that external messaging is really virtual self image. So let's say, for an example, I was watching, I want to say it was probably, oh my God, what was it? The list, I want to say, on Cleveland, Ohio's area for that's probably like what, Channel 5. And so the list comes on around like 7:30, something like that, right after the world news and somewhere in there. And so they had some things on where they were kind of sort of pushing what the trends were and what was kind of sort of popping up. And immediately I just thought to myself, what is the point of having everything that takes place geared towards what's trending and not necessarily what resonates with us as women? And because we're so unique, each woman is so individually rated and characteristic traits as to God. So it's almost as though you're gonna either follow the media, follow the masses, you're gonna follow what the anchor or the host from the spot that's the latest or the greatest or what's current as to what you put on in your draw type of look that you want to give off for whatever reason. So you gotta really stop looking to the media because the media overall is there to do a job. It's overall just a paycheck. It's there to give you particular guidance that's curated to a certain type of clientele or audience or something of that nature that's more so about how to maintain the audience, the rates, and the views. And that's ultimately what it's about, how to maintain the subscribers, how to necessarily make sure. And that's why it's really important to make sure that what you do choose to subscribe to, you actually are confident in the things that they choose to produce. And for myself, when I first came across Vanity Fair, I really was not sure on how to, like, even now and today, I don't really find practical advice. I find basically just articles that says, what is your go-to outfit or pair of pants or something when you're feeling down for the month of November? And it's my Alexander Wayne low-cut trousers. And you know what I mean? Like that's normally what I find throughout that particular thing. Now, I'm not saying that if you do necessarily find that that's something that's helpful. And here's another perfect example as well that that's just something that you go and buy out and then just have it sold out everywhere every time you go click back onto that particular link. And that's how you dress in yourself based off what somebody else's thoughts were. And again, because you have to always be authentic and true to yourself and who you are and what it is that you want to present into the world. And so you want to be you. You want to necessarily find the strength in your life to kind of sort of execute the thoughts that you see fit. And I'm not saying you're going to be able to do that all the time, but you do want to be able to carve out some peace in your life where you can. So that's really a big piece of becoming who you are and growing into the woman that you're always meant to be inside and out. And so, for another example, I had really loved this particular Vanity Fair issue where I was always looking at the Rodeo makeup line. I'm like, what is this Rodeo thing? What is this Rodeo? What is Rodeo? Because normally I just go to CVS. I don't spend an extreme amount of money on anything besides clothing, not even my cosmetics. So most of my cosmetics are either drugstore, CVS, something like that, Macy's. And even when I was dealing with Macy's, I was trying to find a really cheap lipstick or mascara. And I want to say maybe for like $10, and I couldn't. I only was able to find And if you're wondering why I had a gift card and I wanted to utilize the gift card and purchase some items from Macy's, and I had a Macy's gift card, and that was how I was going to be able to do those things, a digital one. And for some reason, I could not find any cosmetics. So I was like, okay, well, since I guess it was only $10 and I'm getting a hair massaging brush, instead, I was doing some surveys online, and after you accumulate so many points, you redeem them for different gift cards, and you can go and spend the money. And so, if anybody's curious about that, it's called E Rewards. I want to say E dash rewards, REWARDS.com. So there's that. You want that resource to get some free products. You're gonna have to take quite a few reviews and surveys, and you're gonna have to really, you know what I mean, make sure that you're answering honestly. And it's a really great outlet, though. I really thoroughly enjoyed that type of idea. And so, anyway, so with the Rodero one, I went to go check out their website. What I had noticed was that it was really expensive. I think a stick of lipstick was probably like 60, 70, $80. And I'm like, dang. But that's a really nice symbol if you're looking to do something that's like your, you know what I mean, your symbol of success and things like that. So if you really wanted to do that for that, which is what the whole entire idea is, and I totally get it, I understand it. And so I did keep that out. You know, I love a good vision board. So I have put Redio, I think it's REDO, on our vision board quite often. And that's really something that I always felt as kind of interesting, and kind of sort of that idea to have something that's kind of sort of like a, you know, I like to kind of sort of make my goals things that are a little out of reach, things to strive for, as you kind of sort of want to figure out kind of sort of basically what it is that you want to do, you know what I mean? So that's usually how I look at things, and how I really find the strength to kind of figure out what it is that I want to do. And so I never did buy that particular lipstick. And I hate to have been like so desperate and trying to figure out how to get this money to go and buy all of these things. That's really like the worst case scenario. Whenever I really see something that's really happening, or something that I kind of resonate with, I'm like, I'm so desperate to get it that basically I'll do anything. And so that's basically what happens when you are choosing to make that mindset shift, because when you're in that idea of thinking that you are above that, so therefore you're an entity who knows that we're not about that life. So we know for a fact that that isn't something that's going to resonate well within us and our moral compass. So that's a really good point to have. Now, if you want to work really hard for those things, then that's good. Then you're going to heed by the idea of not necessarily letting other things dress you, especially the media, in order to receive the clout and things like that that you assume are associated with that type of behavior and entity, because that's ultimately what you're doing. And then, so another time I was really interested in Vanity Fair as well. I had came across a significant idea, because someone close to us was speaking about some of the things that they were kind of sort of discovering as their wants. And when I was kind of sort of flipping through the pages, I was like, oh, this one kind of resonates rather well with this particular one that we were discovering and figuring out. So I ripped it out and I placed it as well on our vision board. And so, you know, that type of shift really allowed us to kind of sort of have a sympathetic mindset, a more understanding of what really actually takes place. And it also, and, you know, every time I say actually, that always reminds me of self actualizing, because something about having that moment where I can really kind of sort of resonate with what that feeling feels like, that really does something to your mindset. So basically, it's shifted. All right, so that was something that I really wanted to touch in with, and that's how I tie it into what actually takes place. And then, what I do feel about that type of style connection, though, is definitely a good idea to surround yourself with stylish things. And this Vanity Fair issue, I really thought that that was going to be a cool way to do those things and have that a part of our style. But at the same time, it's kind of sort of harder to really kind of sort of have that image aligned with that particular entity, because for an example, when I was going to figure out what these master classes were, I didn't realize that the master class was not $9.99. It's $9.99 every month. and you have to have at least the whole entire subscription for 1 year. That's hundreds of dollars. And Anna Wintour is balling out of control. So she's the creator behind Vanity's Fair. She's the creative gore lord of that particular magazine franchise. And that in and of itself speaks to what that is entailing. And then you have to realize that that's something that's taking place, and then kind of sort of either do yay or nay based off what it is to get these things that you're pushing so heavily. So again, don't let the media dress you. Don't let Anna Wintour dress you when you know in your heart, let's say, that maybe what they're picking isn't really resonating with you in an authentic way. You're doing so, and sometimes basically I don't let the media address me. I really just make sure to go through those so that I can remain alert of what's happening in our current events. That's really it. It's really not about trying to find my style to Vanity Fair. I appreciate the way that they can have style pieces included, but that's ultimately not really what is our end goal. And so, as you move forward, when you want to kind of sort of figure out how you necessarily may want to show up in the world, and you kind of sort of want to have your self image come into how you want to do things, and then make sure that you have a solid reason, a solid foundation behind why you're purchasing the things that you do, and not necessarily a real life fickle one either. Really base it in your core beliefs and values, so that way, instead of trying to find the hottest and greatest, you really just want to make sure that you're doing these things to broaden what you already have, your horizon, so that you can kind of sort of just maintain and or elevate. And that's ultimately what our advice is. So, and who they style or mindset prompt. Okay, so when you really are trying to be that woman, or be that dream entity, or be that persona that's so in line with what it is that you dreamed of since you've been 2 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, little girl. And you really have to kind of make yourself understand what your core values are. So I encourage you all today to take some time to jot down at least three. Jot down your three top core values by the end of the day today. Okay. And I mean, I know we already got our grateful list. I know for myself, I do my journaling, I do my affirmations, I do my books, I do my book clubs, I do my family time, I do carving out time to kiss on my loved ones. I carve out those moments in time. So why not take out a little more time to carve out a piece to figure out what your top three core values are? And whatever you come up with as to what they were, then by the time you do that, you can kind of sort of just be able to say, okay, one and done. Now I know what those are. I can kind of sort of focus on those, and then pinpoint if what you've been doing actually correlates with the three that you picked. If not, adjust to the point until the fact comes that they do, that they are resonating with the three that you jotted down. Now, is that difficult? Maybe. And here's a mini challenge as well. Try to maintain the harmonious between what you've been doing and your three core values for at least a week. And if a week is too long, then try 3 to 4 days. And if 3 days is too long to keep everything in alignment, and if you find anything out of whack, you have to readjust it. I'm not going to say start over, but you can definitely readjust and then keep moving until you cross off all 3 days. And when you can check yourself and see what's out of alignment, you can kind of redirect your energy so that you can remain on course, and or remain focused, and or remain able to kind of sort of check that reality so that it can remain or stay in alignment, and especially in alignment, and stay to that point of who it is that you're looking to manifest, that lady of your dreams, that persona who you're just so enthralled about. That's really, 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 really a sensitive space. So I really want you all to focus on that. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining me for another chapter of Books That Built Me. All right. And if this episode shifted your mindset, Lady, Suzanne, Sarah, or Maria, and if these things elevated your style, leave a comment. I thank you so much in advance for that, or a review as well. I appreciate those as well. Remember, ladies, you're not just reading books, okay? You are rewriting the woman you're becoming. So please wear your truth boldly. And guess what? I'll see you next time.